I've struggled hardcore with body dysmorphia. I fear that if I miss a day, I'll go backwards. I was curious to hear what your thoughts are on this. And I'm excited to answer this question because when I think about it, really two concepts come to mind. And the first concept I call a word flip, and I'll go into that. And the second concept is I call it push and pull motivation. So as much as I can, I'll try to take answers to questions and chunk them in or package them together so that there'll be a concept that you can then unpack. And it's a lot easier to understand a concept like this concept of word flip that I'm about to go into rather than understanding 9 different tactics or 9 different strategies. And so what is the word flip? Okay, so here's kind of how it starts. So words have a positive, all words have a positive and they have a negative meaning. Okay, so for example, kindness. Kindness, most people want kindness. But those people that take kindness too far prove that every word, optimism, pessimism, kindness, malice, malevolence, they all have a good side or they all have a bad side. So the bad side, the negative side of kindness is that you can be too kind. And if you are too kind, then what happens is you might get dismissed by other people. You're not assertive enough to stand up for yourself in a group setting or like maybe in a meeting at work. You probably work really hard and you deserve maybe to get a promotion at your job, but you don't say anything because you don't want confrontation. You don't want to walk up to somebody and assert to them what's on your mind. And so kindness isn't weakness, but kindness I think will lead to weakness if there's far too much of it and it's not counterbalanced with assertiveness. And so when you say the word, Melissa, when you say, I fear that if I miss a day, what I really hear is I hear worry underneath that. I hear there's a worry, there's an anxiety maybe, and is the way that you are translating it. And I wanted to offer the positive connotation of fear or worry. Because clearly, you're worried about it, but you're worried about it in like an anxious way and like maybe a negative way, which is perfectly fine because you don't want to go back to the place where you were with a mental and emotional, distaste with your body, and probably even further along the spectrum of distaste to maybe you were disturbed or it was grotesque to look at yourself. This is what body dysmorphia is, right? It's an extreme perception of yourself that might not be the perception of other people or the reality. So your reality doesn't always match the reality or actuality. And so you could have body dysmorphia in all different types of ways, and it's really a blanket term for a disconnect of a mental and emotional perception of our body versus what's reality. And so when you say worry, it comes from this place of like, I'm never going back there. And I want to offer you something. I want to offer you the perspective, the word flip, to where it's not a negative connotation with the word worry, but it's actually a positive connotation with the word worry. And when I started thinking about this, I was thinking about a quote that I heard it a long time ago, and it's by an American philosopher and physician named John Locke. And John Locke, you might have heard of him. He was really responsible. He's like one of the first Americans to start the liberal movement. And he had a quote that rings famous throughout the world and definitely famous with me and something that I shaped my life with. And the quote is the following. It's, "What worries you masters you. What worries you masters you." And I started to think about, okay, well, what does John Locke mean when he says, what worries you masters you? What he means is that there's a positive connotation to the word worry, to that fear can be a healthy fear if your worldview of fear is something that is uplifting and is positive. So, basically it's like, yeah, worry, you should worry, because going back to a place where you have body dysmorphia or even thinking about going back to that place should be scary. Because you know exactly what that feels like. You've experienced that feeling before, and I know that you never want to go back to that place, which is why you're worried. But this isn't a negative thing. This is a positive thing, Melissa. We are able to use our memories that we have to basically replay, like you're watching tape if you're an athlete. You're able to replay the game, and you're able to go back, and you're able to say, okay, I had this experience called body dysmorphia. And what does that really mean to me? Okay, yeah, I'm worried now. Okay, well, what is worry? Well, worry means that I'm fearful. Well, yeah, I should be fearful because I'm not going to go there ever again. So to me, this word flip concept is something that I want you to start applying all the time and on different words, fear and failure and worry and all of these words that have like a societal negative connotation to them. You don't have to take the societal definition, and it doesn't have to be your definition. You get the opportunity to say, all right, what worries me masters me. What worries me is at the top of my mind. What worries me is if I let go of that worry, then I slip. You should be worried about letting go of the worry. You should be worried about letting go of the fear, that you're no longer scared of it. Because what's happening in actuality is you are scared of it, you are worried about it, and that will continue to push you forward. It will continue to allow yourself to say, I'm not the person who is defined by body dysmorphia like I once was, and I'm very worried about that. Therefore, it's always top of mind, and it's never going to go anywhere, and I'm always going to be the person that will assert myself, right, when there is that worry that pops up, and instead of letting it succumb me, I'm going to use it, I'm going to stand on it, and then I'm going to use that worry to actually master myself. And when you do this, I think what John Locke is also trying to say is you do this collectively. You take the things that make you fearful, that cause you to think about failure, cause you to worry, and you flip them and you give yourself a new perspective, because every word, like I said, has a positive and a negative connotation. So too much of anything is bad. Too much optimism is bad. You can be so optimistic that you miss all of the issues. And that's the like I'm a business guy, you all know that. That's the number one downfall of the great companies that fail. Everything is all good all the time. There's a company full of optimists and there's nobody there to worry. So worry, Melissa, is very, very healthy. And I never, ever, ever want you to lose that worry. Keep it, use it, word flip it. All right? And what that really means in its definition is that you go back, you use your memory, you decide that I'm going to use I'm going to create a new worldview, a new perspective on this word, and this word is no longer going to mean the negative connotation. I got to find the positive connotation. And when you do that, that's the root cause to fix your self-communication, which is the byproduct, or which is the prerequisite, rather, to you having communication and relationships with other people that are built on the foundation of truth, trust, transparency, and honesty. So, Melissa, that's a great question. I hope that this gives you a pretty good answer. And this word flip concept isn't something that you're going to find on the internet anywhere. It's something that I noticed as I observed people and the way that they language things to me, that I made up to allow you to have a concept that will let your language itself mean like you can actually take these things that you're confused by and you don't know how to language them, and then you can use word flip as an actual piece of your own language. So here's word flip from me to you as a concept. Here you go. You can have it. All right. And then you could share it with other people, and that's the best way to master it. So the next time somebody says to you, I'm so scared of that, what I want you to say is, great, good, awesome. You should be scared of that, right? You should be scared of that. In a healthy way, you should be scared, because that healthy fear is going to keep that worry on the top of your mind, and what worries you masters you. Now, there's a second concept that I want to go into, and they're intertwined, okay, Melissa? This is the push and pull concept. What I'm talking about specifically with you when I say, what worries you masters you, thank you, shout out John Locke. What I'm saying is that you need to go back and rework how you associate the word worry with body dysmorphia, okay? You have to go back and you have to use your memory and you have to say, okay, what does this mean now, right? Am I perpetually worried to where I'm anxious, or am I perpetually worried to where that I have a healthy level of fear? And then what happens is when you do make that flip, you do that word flip, now that thing that you're looking backwards and analyzing your past and replaying this tape, that thing that you're looking backward for actually becomes the first half to the equation of inspiration and motivation that every human needs. I think there's two pieces to it. The first part is your push motivation. Okay, your push motivation. The second part is your pull motivation. All right? Let's break this down. So your push motivation is something that happened to you in the past that you went back, you reanalyzed, you used your memory, you said, nope, that doesn't mean that I'm a bad person, that doesn't mean that I should worry perpetually in a negative way. It actually means that this fear is good, and that what happened to me in my past, this body dysmorphia that I had, okay, this amount of pain that I had, this is my biggest disadvantage I've ever had, but it's also my biggest advantage. Why is your disadvantages your biggest advantages? Why do you need to look back and see something in your past and try to reassociate the meaning to it? It's because you've already experienced it before. You've already experienced it before. And when you've experienced something, especially pain, okay, especially pain, Melissa, when you experience body dysmorphia and you are in that mindset, like zoom yourself back into the place where you're at the bottom of the emotional pit, you're so distressed and you're so depressed and emotionally overwhelmed that it's so painful that pain is just embossed in you like an emotion that you're never going to be able to get rid of. Don't try to get rid of it. It's never going anywhere. You've experienced that. You can't change it. It's stamped. It's embossed in your hippocampus in your mind, the part of your brain that's responsible for short and long-term memory. Like, this isn't going anywhere. So you have to use it. And let me teach you something, Melissa. Listen, and I'm going to teach you because I've gone through this in my life. I had a very painful upbringing. Like, I was on welfare. I was moved to, a bunch of states before I was even like 8 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old. I, went in and out. I saw my dad go in and out of prison. My parents, cheating on each other and abusing drugs and alcohol and being in an environment where the police are in and out of my house. Like, this was a very, very emotionally, an emotionally carved time for me. That time left its stamp on me. I still dream about these things today, you guys. I dream about them today. And so I can't look back and just say, oh, poor me, why me? Because then I'll have to live my life that way. It's not going to go anywhere, right? And what I found is, if you look across and you see all these successful people, right? What I found is that the majority of them have an extreme pain in their past, and they've made the decision. They have made the decision. Nobody else. They've made the decision to reassociate a meaning to that past. And so when I used to be like, oh, why me? Why am I this? Why do I have to be in this situation? Like, why do my parents, do they not love me? Like, am I not worthy of love? These were the things going through my head as a young kid. And no, that's not it. That's not it. I was worthy of love. I was worthy of love. I was introduced to an obstacle at 12 years old because I was being put in a position to do what I'm supposed to be doing today. And that's talking to y'all. And that's helping you get through your past pains or for you to develop your push motivation. So your biggest disadvantage in life is your greatest advantage. And that you've actually experienced that. It's embossed in your brain and you'll never forget it. This is why it's the most powerful of the two. Push and pull motivations. It's the most powerful because you've experienced it before. So use that pain, harness that pain. You know what the biggest disadvantage for most people is that they had no disadvantages, that they've never experienced pain before. So now a little pain when they get a comment on social media because that might, say something about the clothes that they're wearing, hurts them very deeply emotionally because they've never been embossed or created that calcification mentally or that emotional fortitude that's necessary to be able to handle any pain in the future. And so you see this, right? People get one little piece of adversity and they cower and they curl and they can't handle it and they isolate and they're out, right? It just wipes them out like the smallest wave. Well, if you've had pain in your life, Melissa, body dysmorphia, like that's a painful thing to go through by no fault of your own. And you've been through it. You're here today. You're still rocking it. You're a little bit worried about what will happen if you skip those workouts. You should be, right? And you should be using the language that I'm giving you right now to really define whatever that deepest moment was for you. I'd have to sit with you for an hour or so to really get to the deepest moment, that story. But you need to zoom in to the story, the smallest little part of the most, how would you say, the most elevated emotional experience that you've ever had in your past. Analyze that. What does it mean? If it's painful, great. That's even better because now you've got built-in pain. You don't have to manufacture any pain. And now you have a disadvantage that's going to be your ultimate superpower for the rest of your life. So for me, That's what I'm running from. I'm running from that childhood. I'm running from ever having to have my children experience anything like that I went to. That's very painful to me, but such an advantage. And one of the main reasons why I can sit here today after 10 years in business and say that, I am one of the most successful entrepreneurs in fitness because of the pain. Because there's nothing that can stop me. There's nothing that's going to be more painful than watching your parents fist fight each other and having to get in the middle and break it up and getting caught with one. Nothing more painful than that as a 12-year-old boy. So I think about it all the time, but I use it, okay? And that's pushing me forward. The other side of it is the pull motivation, okay? This is your true goal. This is your North Star. This is your vision. This is the answer to the question, what do you want and why do you want it? This is the question to what you want and why do you want it. If there were no limitations, there were no consequences, all right? You could repeat the same day over and over and over, and it was your dream, ideal day. What would that look like? Give me that one pager answering that question. What would my ideal day look like with no limitations or no consequences? That's your vision. And then you need both of these things. You need your pull and you need your push, okay? Because life is hard. And you're going to get thrown curveballs. And the things that you thought were going to work out aren't going to work out. And you're going to experience pain. And you've got to be able to have something in your past that's more painful than anything that you can experience in your future. And you need something in your future that's more exciting than anything you've experienced in your past. Ooh, that's good right there, right? Because push and pull motivations equal inspiration. And when you're inspired, you're empowered. When you're empowered, you can transform yourself inside out. From your mind, from your body. We always talk about the inner world if you've been around here for a long time. Your inner world is your attitude, your effort, and your beliefs. And this falls right in line with that conversation. So these two concepts, Melissa, I thought a lot about your question. Thank you for your question. It's the word flip, all right? It's the word flip to get you into the worldview and really to have your own definition of what words mean. Not just taking societal definitions on for what words or phrases mean, creating your own definition. So word flip the word. Okay, I might shout that out at you one time if I hear you, and you might say, "Oh, I fell off the wagon." I'm like, word flip. What do you mean you fell off the wagon? What's a wagon? Show me a wagon. We still have wagons. Where's your bruises? You didn't fall off the wagon. You temporarily modified a healthy diet for 3 days too long, right? So let's get to the truth. That's going to help us do that. And then the push-pull concept. It's push-pull, push plus pull equals inspiration. If that makes sense, say yes, people. Okay, that is the answer to your question. And the punchline is you should be super happy that you struggled. Your biggest disadvantages are also your biggest advantages. Your pain is your power. People who have no pain will get no pleasure.